On Saturday, June 6, 1998, in Tulsa, Oklahoma, 16-year-old Dena Dean, a student from Webster High School, got off her shift at Arby's and headed to Marvin's grocery store to meet her boyfriend, 18-year-old Michael Converse. Michael, who worked as a checker at the grocery store, would be finished with his shift at 10 p.m. Dena was meeting him to discuss their future together. As 2 days prior, she revealed to Michael that she was pregnant. Eyewitnesses say that they saw someone who looked like Dena arguing with two men in a red pickup truck in the parking lot. If it was indeed her, then this was the last time anyone ever saw her alive. Dena was a typical high schooler. In addition to her part-time job working in fast food, she also spent time hanging out at the auto racetrack, which she typically attended on Saturday nights, but of course, not on the Saturday that she went to meet Michael at the grocery store. She was an honor roll student with aspirations to become an attorney. This dream never came to fruition when she met her fate in that parking lot, that fateful night. By all accounts, Dena led a happy life, and it was unlikely she'd ever run away. So when she failed to return home from work that Saturday night, her parents Larry and Diana knew something must have happened to her, and they feared she was abducted. One of Dena's friends called Larry and Diana around midnight, telling them that their car was parked at the grocery store, but that Dena was nowhere to be found. Larry swiftly went to the store and found the car with its windows open and its doors unlocked. Inside were Dena's wallet and an uneaten sandwich. Receipts revealed that Dena had purchased snacks at the store and went through Michael's checkout. Then she went outside to make a call, though no one knows whom she was talking to. Evidently, Dena met with some bad actor who meant her harm that night. But who could that have been? Eyewitnesses reported to the police that they saw Dena fighting with two men in a red pickup truck, walking alongside it as they turned into the parking lot. Investigators initially believed that Dena was abducted by strangers in a possible case of human trafficking, given that the grocery store sat near a major freeway on which the kidnappers may have traveled. However, because he drove a red pickup truck, like the one described by the eyewitnesses, Dena's boyfriend Michael quickly emerged as the main suspect in her disappearance. In addition, Dena's rumored pregnancy by Michael fueled suspicion that he was responsible for her demise, opting to get rid of her and the baby because he was unprepared to be a father. Upon arriving at Michael's home, police were floored to find him claiming that he never knew Dena and had never dated her. He said he was bowling at the time of Dena's disappearance. Michael's father, a fire and brimstone preacher named Robert, backed him up. They were able to confirm his alibi, but after days with no new leads and hopes of finding Dena alive fading, police returned to Michael, still supposing that Dena's revelation that she was pregnant could serve as a motive to dispose of her. After all, perhaps Michael wasn't necessarily at the bowling alley all night, the night Dena disappeared. The police subjected Michael to 2 polygraph tests, and he failed both. Now convinced Michael could not be trusted, investigators drew up a triangular search grid, pinpointing the last 3 places Michael was seen on the night Dena disappeared: the grocery store parking lot, the bowling alley, and his house. In that area, in a secluded wooded spot known as Lover's Lane, a place where Michael was rumored to frequently romance girls, they found Dena's body. Her remains were so badly mutilated and decomposed that the medical examiner could not determine how exactly she died. Her jaw was found to be broken. Something surprising was also discovered. Dena was definitely not pregnant. It turns out that Dena made up her pregnancy, according to her friend Carrie Goldman. Exactly why she'd do this is unclear. Her friend supposed it was some twisted joke that she played on Michael because she was mad at him for ignoring her and wanted to teach him a lesson. Dena's friends informed her that Michael was upset and that Dena needed to tell him she'd lied about her pregnancy. It was for this reason, Dena's friends say, that she went to the grocery store parking lot that Saturday night. But she'd apparently waited too long to tell Michael the truth, as the obvious answer to this case is that she was murdered by him that night, possibly assisted by his father, who could have been the other man in the truck. This is an editorial aside, but if Robert Converse, the minister, really did take part in a murder of a girl assumed to be pregnant, then he is of course a despicable, inhuman monster, but also an infuriatingly massive hypocrite, assuming he is part of the pro-life crowd. His Facebook posts are full of comments accusing him of murder, so his involvement is widely believed. But I digress. Suspiciously enough, Michael's father indeed was at the grocery store that night, showing up at 9:40 p.m. He went there demanding Michael's time card for that night, and also a soft drink bottle in the trash can. Why he wanted these items is clear enough, at least in my opinion. Assuming he was indeed involved in Dena's death, he didn't want anyone knowing his son was working that night, and didn't want officials getting access to his son's DNA on the soft drink bottle, as to confirm he was at the store when Dena arrived. Something really amazing about this case is that it has a large volunteer task force working to solve it. This group consists of 22 retired investigators who are still highly skilled. They are not paid to investigate Dena's murder, but are doing so in the hopes that they can bring justice and peace to her family. They've sought to prove Michael Converse's involvement, claiming from eyewitness testimony and new evidence that he asked Dena to meet him in the grocery store parking lot after learning she was quote-unquote pregnant, and was joined by his father in the parking lot that night. The father and son have claimed innocence for these past 20-odd years, and their fingerprints have not been found at the crime scene. However, upon retesting the DNA at the scene with new technology in 2018, the task force did, in fact, discover Converse DNA. Here's the interesting thing, though. It didn't belong to either Michael or Robert, but rather to Robert's brother, Stephen. Stephen has never been charged in anything related to Dena's death, but the task force now believes that he was involved. Armed with a search warrant, deputies went to Stephen's house to collect a DNA sample from him. Alarmed, Stephen spontaneously blurted out something potentially incriminating that investigators were glad to hear, though what exactly he said has never been disclosed. Unfortunately, it seems the story ends here, and the case remains cold. Investigators were apparently going to use new technology to try and uncover 20-year-old fingerprints on Dena's clothes to determine who it was that left her in that field. However, progress apparently hasn't been made. The most recent article I can find on Dena covers her family's annual candlelight vigil, held virtually in June 2020 due to the pandemic. Unlike some other cold cases I've discussed, the answer to this one seems to be staring us in the face. I believe the Converses were responsible for Dena's death, as they believed she was pregnant by Michael and didn't want to have to deal with the consequences of that. If they are the evil murderers they seem to very well be, I hope they are brought to justice soon. If you have any information that may help the case, please contact the Tulsa authorities. I'm also linking to the Facebook group dedicated to Dena in case anyone would like to join. Thank you guys. Please stay safe out there. And remember, don't get scared out of sorts.